Well, hello there, internet friends, and welcome to the Frost Death Knight Legion Beta Preview Summary Video Bonanza. Hello. Just did the 3 hours of live testing for the Frost Death Knight. Just trying to figure things out and poke stuff and what works and what doesn't and what does what and what does things. So while I talk about my bug reports, I will put some animations in the background just so you can see them, because I was asking about that during my Blood Death Knight stuff, that I wasn't showing the animations. So I'll show some animations as I read off my bug things that I did find. So currently, there, of course, there are 2 Remorseless Winters. Both of them do the what they used to do. So Remorseless Winter, that's the talent, is the AoE slow, and the stun, eventually, the new Remorseless Winter is a baseline effect for Frost Death Knights, which is just AoE damage over time, which is awesome. It's just so like a hunger esh for blood mechanic, which whenever I say that, chat room always goes like, oh, here he goes again. But it's just a maintenance buff. Obviously, you're not going to be death striking during combat. I'm just doing it because it looks freaking cool, man. So there's that, and there's also this spell right here, which we'll talk about more in a little bit, which is the Glacial Advance, which is cool and awful at the same time. What else we got here? So the new Remorseless Winter does need its spell range in the tooltip, as it currently does not exist. Gathering Storm right now does not work. It does not increase the damage done by successive hits of Remorseless Winter. The +1 death rune that you get if you take Runic Longevity does not show up in the new bottom resource manager bar. You get the 7 underneath your character frame, and I'm sure any add-ons will work, but just so we're covering all bases here, only 6 show up down here if you're going to use the default UI, so that hopefully will get fixed soon. Glacial Advance is not working on wall clipping. All 10 spikes spawning right under the Death Knight and hitting 10 times on a mob or a boss is currently being tanked against a wall. It seems pretty game-breaking and bad. This is brought up in my entire testing video. As well as Glacial Advance does not spawn while standing on small platforms. Nothing happens, no spikes, just rune of power regeneration. So I'll show the small platform thing. Some bosses have small platforms and nonsense, which the Glacial Advance talent is new. It's cool. It is a skill shot based off where your character is looking. 12-second cooldown with 1 rune as the cost. Summons glacial spikes from the ground that advance forward, each dealing a whole bunch of frost damage to nearby enemies near the eruption point. So, but if I cast it on a platform, so like think of like back to Heroic Nefarian, for example, or other bosses that have moving platform things, maybe even like, I don't know, anything that has like Malagos stuff, they don't do anything. Nothing happens. I gained the runic power in my combat log here, but they don't spawn. So that's a problem. Also, on certain terrain, they just stand in front of you, like they spawn like right there and then don't do anything else. So that's the next problem, which I'm going to talk about right now, is that this Skullflower brought it up in the testing period that it's currently intended, but I hope it's a bug fix, because what happens here with this talent alone, which, you know, Defile and Breath of Sindragosa are the exact same as they are on live right now. Breath of Sindragosa is a possibility for Frost, but it's weird because you don't get to use Frost Strike, so it's kind of like, I don't know. But it does only cost 12 runic power per hit there, so it's what it is. Defile, of course, still stays as Defile. It's just Defile. But this talent, so Glacial Advance right now, the numbers is just too powerful. How it should work is kind of like this. You just kind of like set yourself up to cast and hit maybe multiple mobs. It hits mobs twice normally, or 3 times depending on how large the mob's hitbox is, which is fine. You obviously don't want to like get a hit just once or twice, but if you're standing right inside of a mob's hitbox, like right inside of it, you can't spawn this ability, Glacial Advance, in front of you. It will be pushed back to spawn right behind you, and it will then hit the mob 10 times, because it spawns 10 pillars. Not super good. Maybe a slight hidden skill cap or something neat, that like if you can stand near a wall with a boss, then it's kind of cool. But overall, it seems really gameable and way does too much damage. But if you're not all the way in it, and yet you still cannot spawn them in front of you properly because the grid messes up, they will spawn behind you, not advance forward, and deal no damage. So you lose everything. but I'm not sure how it's supposed to work exactly. Like, I think the intentional one is that it's supposed to be a line-based skill shot, high damage nuke. It will hit bosses multiple times if they have large hitboxes, which is totally fine. But I just think overall it is not implemented properly yet, and I hope it gets fixed in the future. So the big things I think for Frost that I have worked out during my testing phase today was that, besides the fact that Death Strike for dual wielding looks amazing, and that auto attack kept going after I ran out of melee range, is that the biggest change for Frost Death Knights, and I will probably see the same thing for Unholy after I get testing them next, is that your 56, 75, and 80, your 58, your 58, your 50/80s are very interchangeable or so. Like Icy Talons might synergize really well with the fact that you have a huge passive attack speed all the time with Frozen Pulse, where your auto attacks have a chance to make you deal frost damage around you, which I will show you the graphic for that. It looks pretty awesome. Sub-Zero, which I had equipped currently, just makes your Killing Machine Obliterate deal 30% additional damage as Frost, which makes Obliterate then also scale with your Mastery, which I think is the trinket you have right now in Warlords. So, Biting Winds is currently a set bonus, where you can hold 2 charges of Killing Machine and Rhyme to be stored. Currently, this is also bugged, which is my one next thing to talk about, is that Biting Winds talent, the 2x Rhyme works. You can get 2 charges of Rhyme and use both of them back to back, and they work fine. But the 2 Killing Machine procs, if you Obliterate with 2 stacks, it eats both procs, and the 1 extra does not float to the next use. So, but then Without Remorse, which is Killing Machine, now also affects your Frost Strike, and your auto attacks are more likely to generate Killing Machine procs. Like, you could take Without Remorse and take Biting Winds and be sort of how Frost Dual Wield plays now, where it's basically prioritize either Frost Strike or Obliterate based on Killing Machine procs, based on your gear, mastery, whatever. But Icy Talons, which I'll also illustrate as I get up a whole bunch of runic power here real quick. There's the explosion from Frozen Pulse. I wanted to make sure Icy Talons didn't have a weird, like, Ignite or Ignite-based mechanic. And what you can do, you can dump Icy Talons, and it will continue to increase and add the 3 seconds to the duration. So you can get it to go for a pretty long time. I think the goal here would be to try to get Icy Talons up early on a fight, and then for as long as you can, that was a misclick, actually keep Icy Talons up, you know, keep your passive attack speed bonus up as long as possible. Obviously, it's not going to stay up all the time. Granted, I am not a Death Knight player. I'm a novice. It's fine. But I'm testing all these classes, of course, so that I know what's going on with them, and I better have questions to ask my guests in future episodes. But as you see proccing off there, that is the Frozen Pulse animation, which I believe is the Frost animation from Frost Nova. But what actually happens is that it doesn't spawn the Frost fruity it just spawns all the Fruity Pretties. So, well, it looks pretty cool. Frost Strike and Obliterate are similar. Obliterate definitely shows that you both weapons move, and Frost Strike is just the one, because it is just a Frost attack. But that's just, I'm a female Tauren right now, so it'll look a little different on different models depending on how how they swing their weapons. But it looks pretty neat. But then there's a lot going on here. Like, I personally think Sub-Zero and Gathering Storm is super cool. Wow, that was a tooltip bug. Like, Gathering Storm kind of increases how strong your mastery is because you're taking Sub-Zero as well. So Sub-Zero, because it makes your Obliterate deal extra frost damage on killing machines. Again, mastery affects that too much. Or not too much, obviously we don't have it, but it affects it more. Gathering Storm then deals more damage on successive waves, which it doesn't work right now, but that would mean that the last couple of ticks are going to be pretty strong, right? They have a huge component. The last tick will be 80% stronger because it just ticks 20 times. And it's a lot more mastery focus, right? Whereas, like, the Biting Winds, Without Remorse, or Icy Talons, even Icy Talons Frozen Pulse might be good, but I kind of feel like Gathering Storm Sub-Zero might be really good for single target. Frozen Pulse Icy Talons might be really good for AoE or cleave encounters. Without Remorse, Biting Winds could be cool for RNG mechanics in PvP or something. I don't know, or for storing up charges to burst stuff. I'm not sure, but there's a lot going on here. After more testing, Runic Empowerment looks not really good for DPS. I think Runic Empowerment is going to be pretty strong for Blood Death Knight. Mostly because they have a 2-for-1 sale on Bloodstrike. 1 rune for 20 runic power. Every other class has, 2 runes on a Remorseless Winter, 20 runic power. 1 rune on Howling Blast, but you don't really use Howling Blast very often. Because I'm talking a lot today. Because, oh, that Shadow Priest is going ham. Whereas Runic Corruption, I think, feels fine. The problem that I ran into on the opener for Frost Death Knight is that it costs you 5 runes, right? Because you have to initially put up your Frost Fever, you have to put up your Remorseless Winter, and you get an Obliterate off. And there you go. And you've got 1 rune floating now. So what do you do with that 1 rune? You're always going to have 1 rune in limbo until you get back around to obliterating again. And that's fine. I mean, you're going to spam Frost Strike. I think with Runic Corruption, though, you're not going to want to really pool your Frost Strikes as much, which might not really work well with Icy Talons, or maybe it doesn't matter that you stack Icy Talons and keep it rolling as long as you want. Maybe you just want it to have it whenever it's up, it's fine. I'm not a math person for this class. I don't know how it's going to work out for them. Whereas with Longevity, you have 7 runes on the pull, which I think just bugged out on my UI. It doesn't actually show them. Hold on. Updating talents. Let me reload my UI real quick. Live testing. And live recording. So let me review this real quick. Let me make sure. Okay, there they go. Let me redo this. Boop. There we go. 7 runes. On the pull now, you get to Howling Blast for Frost Fever, put up your Remorseless Winter, and you get 2 Obliterates. You still have the floating rune, which is fine. The 1 floating rune, though, will come back up soon, and then you can use your, Glacial Advance, or you can hit an extra Howling Blast, maybe. I don't know what's going to be the better source of the damage. So I don't know if that works out better. I think what I was figuring out as I was playing... What I was playing is that I wonder if Longevity will be good at later gear levels when you already have a lower cooldown on your rune regeneration. Obviously, with the testing gear I have right now, my rune speed is kind of But imagine if you had like 6% base with haste. You get the extra 0.9 seconds taken off with the 10% here because how the math works out, and you're at 5. So then you have enough haste on your gear, maybe you can enchant Mastery. We'll see what happens. I have no idea. That's my first little walkthrough of all this stuff. Some things are a little less important, and they are the same as Blood. Like improved Icebound Fortitude just makes it more like a glyph. It makes it a little stronger with 1 minute less cooldown. It's the only DR in this tier, whereas this is a heal, and this is a, oh crap, I stayed in the poopy. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you all so much for listening to this. If you want to check out more, you can always check out the entire Twitch broadcast, which is linked down below, or on my guide, which is on my channel on TwitchTV. If you want to help support me in what I do, leave a like on this video, or you can go over to my Patreon page and toss me a couple of bucks. But for whatever it's worth, Frost looks kind of cool. And I will see you all in the next video.